So in this lab, we'll be seeing on test cases and how do you do a load test. So as usual, log into dev.azure.com with your email ID and password, and then just go to any of your projects and then click on the test plans on our main menu. And under test plans, you will have 4 main options, which is test plans, progress reports, number of runs that happened, and load test. So by default, if you see, we will be having only the basic level of access to the test plans. So for getting the test plans access, you just need to go to the project settings, and then you just need to set up this testing retention and everything. And for an organization level, just go to the testing areas, and then you just need to get the test options available. Okay, so if you see here on the buildings area, first basic users, 5 users are free, and the test plans will not be available by default. So you just need to say basics plus test plan and start a free trial for it. So only then the test plans will be enabled for you. So by default, test plans will not be enabled. So just click on start a free trial, and you can see the free trial expires in 30 days. Now I can go to any of the projects and I can go to the test plans, and now we can see the test plans is being enabled. Okay, so now to create a new test plan, we can just go here and then create a basic test plan out of it, and for which sprint this test plan has to be created for. And this is going to be your test plan. Under test plan, you have an option of test suite. Okay, under test suite, you have an option of adding a test case. So you can just go and add a test cases accordingly, and you can just give the list of steps that we need to add and what are the steps that we need to follow and everything. Okay, so you have multiple test cases, and you can even add multiple new test cases accordingly. Okay, and then when you wanted to execute something, you can just go over here and then you can execute the test cases that you wanted, and by default it will be configured for Windows 10 OS and it will be active. Okay, and when you wanted to see, you can just click on run for web applications, and then it will automatically run depending upon your Chrome driver. Now since we do not have any steps, it is actually not doing anything, but when you actually do something, you can just click on this pass test case or fail test case, and then if I'm here, if it's something is failed, you can even go and create a bug out of it, and then you can save and close it, and now you can see the outcome, like whether it is passed or failed. Okay, so this is how you can add a test case, and this is a test suite, and you can even add a test case out of it, and you can add a new suite, or you can even export it as a print, and you can import the results. Whatever you want to do as part of test cases, you can just do it. Okay, and this is going to be your progress report. As the name indicates, just the progress, like how many tests have been run, how many have been passed, how many have been failed, and other things. And these are all the list of parameters that you can add it as part of your testing plans. Like what are all the list of parameters that I need to add for my test cases to be successful. And this is a configuration. So by default, I told you Windows 10 will be available. So if you wanted to add any new configurations, you can just add it, and I can say Mac OS. Okay, and I can just even create a Mac OS configurations, and if I wanted to add any new mobile devices or other things, I can just add it as part of my configurations. And these are all the list of runs that has been happened as part of our plan. Now if you see, we just actually have a demo run, so it is actually showing it over here, and the passing rate is 100%. Load test is one of the important areas where we can see a part of our demo now. So this is going to be your load test pane. So now what happened, I'm just going to create a new URL based test. So this load test is actually available for HTTP based test or Apache JMeter test or URL based test. So here I'm just giving it as a google.com as a basic load test option. Okay, and here I'm just giving https www.google.com. okay, I don't want any headers or other things, and then I'm just clicking on save. So now what happened, I have my google.com as a test case, and then I have given that URL and other areas. Now when I click on run test, what happens, the load test for the google.com is being queued. Okay, and after certain intervals of time, I can see the results of this google.com being populated, like what is the average response time, how many users have been hitting on that particular google.com at that particular interval of time, how many requests per second, and how many are passed, how many are failed, and I can see the charts and diagnostics and logs and everything on this. Similarly, if you have your own website created as part of your application project, you can give that URL and you can check how many or how stable is your website and how many users is your website able to handle and other things as part of this Azure DevOps. So Azure DevOps gives this as part of your load testing options for the websites that you're creating it as per your project. So just give it a minute. So see, if you see here, it is just configuring the agents. The next step will be, it will be running it, and then we will be getting the results out of it. So just stay calm, and then we will be seeing it, what it is. See, now it is in progress. Now it is running the test. So now if you see, for 2 minutes, it is trying to hit the website continuously. So you can see the progress of each and everything, and if you wanted to abort in the middle, you can click on this abort option. Okay, but the maximum time for the load test it takes is for a particular minute or 2 minutes. So by default it takes 2 minutes, and then it tries to hit the website continuously. Give it a minute, we'll be seeing it. See, now itself your responses are being populated. So it is actually using 25 users to hit the website at the same time, and number of requests hitting per second is 47, and then average response time is 167.8 milliseconds, and number of failed requests is 0. And if you see here, total number of requests in 2 minutes is 4,167 requests it has been hitting at the same time. Number of errors are 0, and then now finally our test is completed. So by this way you can actually see, okay, so if you see here, test started time, test end time, and what is the status of it, what is the performance charts, what is the throughput charts, number of tests happen, and then what is the diagnostics it happened. I can even see the logs out of it. So this will be a very good feature as part of our load test in Azure DevOps. So you can even export that to the Visual Studio and you can see it. So if you wanted to show a test case results to your senior management people, you can go to the charts and you can take that and you can show it to them. So this is a very good option as part of our Azure DevOps test plans. So just try these things. It is not free by default. You just need to enable it, and it will be free only for 30 days. And load test is obviously free, but I'm saying about the test plans and other areas which is not free. Test suites, test plans, test cases are not free. It is just free for 30 days, and after that you need to pay for it. So until then you guys can practice, and then let me know if you have faced any issues. So in this lab we'll be seeing on what is task groups. Okay, so I'll tell you what is a task group and then where and how it is being useful for. So just log into dev.azure.com and then choose whatever projects we wanted to choose. So I'm just choosing it as security demo, which we have imported it from Azure DevOps demo generator. Okay, so the task groups is available on our pipelines menu on our Azure DevOps, and here you can see this task groups. So as the name indicates, it is nothing but grouping of all the pipeline tasks together under one name, that is called as your task groups. And why it is useful for, so imagine in your team there are more than 100 pipeline jobs, 100 CI/CD jobs. Okay, so if you wanted to change something, you just need to go and change into all the 100 pipelines. Like if you wanted to change the Java version or whatever it is. Imagine if you are actually having it in single location, whereas if you change that in a single location, all the 100 areas will be reflected. For that only this task group is being useful for. How do you create it? So you can go to the pipelines, and this is going to be my pipeline job. I just need to click on this edit option, and here what happens, I am just having a list of 5 jobs or 5 steps, I can say, or 5 tasks individual. These are all called as individual tasks. So how do I make a task group out of it? So there is a tick option over here. I'm just clicking on this tick, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So now I have just chosen all the 5 individual tasks, and then I'm right clicking it, and then I can create a task group out of it. And this task group name is called as White Chose bold task. So I just gave a task group name, and then I can just choose it as a build category or a deploy category or a package category, utility or a test category. So this is going to be my build category. I'm just clicking on create. So now what happened, if you see here, all the 5 tasks is being grouped together under one task name. So from the next time onwards, if I wanted to create a new pipeline, I don't need to add 5 separate tasks together. I just need to call this white source bold task, so that inside this white source bold task 5 tasks will be clubbed together. How do I know it? I can go to the task groups. Okay, let me save it. Okay, so I'm just going to the task groups, and now you can see that white source bold task is created, and when I click on this, I can see the individual task is being added over here. So when I wanted to add something, or when I wanted to modify something, I can go over here and then I can modify, so that automatically the changes will be effective in all the areas where I have actually called this white source bold. Okay, sorry. So what this particular task, if I wanted to export this, I can click on this export option, so that it will be exported as a JSON file. Okay, and then when I wanted to import it as a new task, I can click on this import option, and then I can choose this JSON file which I have downloaded it. Okay, so now you can see white source bold task has been added, and then I can change the name of whatever I wanted to do it. So this is how I can export the task, and then I can import a task as well. Okay, and how do I manage a security out of it? Here is a security option. I can just choose whoever wanted to add, modify, edit a task accordingly, so that I can even make this task groups much more secure, so that no one can come in and then they can do or edit. I can just give access only to the administrators, so that only the administrators will be able to access, modify, edit or delete this. Okay, so I can choose all the areas. I can add or modify or delete it. Now when I wanted to create a new pipeline, okay, I'm just clicking on new pipeline. Okay, I'm just choosing a classic editor out of it. I don't want the YAML, and I'm just clicking on continue, and then I'm going to an empty job. Now this is an empty job. Now how I wanted to add it, all the 5 tasks together. I'm clicking on this plus option, and here on the task section I am just giving white source, and this is going to be your task group. So when I click, this task group will be coming as this icon. When I click on this, automatically that task group will be displayed for me. Okay, I just need to click on save and queue. That's all. So my particular 5 tasks is added together, and then I can just click on save and run. So this is the usage of task groups. It is nothing but you are combining all the tasks, or what you call a repetitive task, together into a single group, so that you can just add it into multiple pipelines. If you see here, now I just added single task group, and all the 5 tasks has been displayed over here. Okay, so wherever you are trying to repeat 2 tasks together, club it as a group and then add it to all the pipelines, so that if you wanted to make any changes on that particular pipeline, you don't need to go and change it in all the pipelines. Instead of that, you can go and change it in a task group, and it will be reflected in all the pipelines. So just try it, and then let me guys know if you face any issues. Until then, thank you. So in this lesson, we will be learning about artifacts copying. So as I was telling you about, what is an artifact is nothing but an output of a build. So either it can be a zip file or a WAR file or a EAR file. So we have seen a lab called Azure Artifacts, where Azure is automatically capturing its artifact under drop location, and we can see it under the artifact section of Azure DevOps. But other than that, we also can copy these artifacts in our Nexus or JFrog or any of our Google Drive or Dropbox or containers, blobs, S3 buckets, or anywhere, so that we can have a dual storage location for us easy recovery. So for example, if Azure Artifacts is not working or some problem is happening, you have an artifacts on other location as well for a safety purposes. So how do you do that? So as usual, I'm going to this Azure demo generator, and then I'm just choosing one template which can be used for all our purposes like release management, artifacts copying, ARM templates checker, URL checker. Everything can be used for the single project. So if you go to this general section, all these are full end-to-end websites with a 3-layer. One is front end, another one is back end, another one is database. So I'm just choosing this one, which is going to be my health clinic. So it is just going to be your doctor website, which is going to be your health clinic website. So I'm just choosing this and I'm clicking on select template. So you can choose a hotel template, you can choose this one, or you can even choose Contours or Air, whichever is feasible for you, you can choose this. So I've just chosen this, my health clinic template. I've just selected the template and I'm just giving a name and I'm selecting an organization. And as usual, when you click on create project, your project will be automatically created. So my project is automatically created, and then I'm actually over here. So when I go to my organization dev.azure.com and my organization, I can see the demo health clinic, which is generated from Azure DevOps generator, is created. So I'm just clicking on it, and then when I go to the files repository, I can see all the files are auto populated, and it's a .NET project, so I'm just seeing SLMs over here. So now our purpose is to create a containers and blobs in Azure, and then get the output of these artifacts, which is going to be a zip file, and I need to store it in Azure DevOps as one copy and in containers as a second copy. So I'm just going to the pipelines, and I can see I have created one pipeline called as Azure Container Copy Artifact. So what I have done it, let me just go and then click on edit. If you see, these steps are automatically generated from your Azure demo generator. You don't need to do any of the things. So all these steps are as usual for your .NET build. The last step, which is going to be your Azure blob file copy. So how did I add it? I just went to this plus button on the task, and then I gave like AZ file copy. So if you see here, this is a task which actually does a copy files to Azure blob storage or a virtual machine. So in our case, I'm going to copy it to a blob storage. I just added this, okay? And then here by default, if you remember, what is the source I need to copy? The source that I need to copy is actually this build artifact staging directory, because in the build artifact staging directory only, I'm just copying all these output of the files. So I'm just giving that as a source. And subscription, as you know, we have discussed, like we need to actually create a service connection, so that with the help of the service connection, Azure DevOps and Azure can talk to each other. So if you don't know how to create a service connection, click on this manage. It takes you to the service connection page, and then you need to click on new service connection, and I'm choosing Azure Classic, clicking on next. And here you just need to give a subscription ID and the subscription name, username and password. And then when you click on save, automatically the service connection will be coming over here. So this is my subscription name and this is my subscription ID. So I've just linked to it so that I'm getting this service connection details. So this service connection detail name will be auto populated over here. If you see here, it is auto populated. So when I choose this, the next thing it says, like, where is the destination? Do I need to choose blob or do I need to choose VMs? I'm just choosing a blob over here. And then it is asking the storage account name. I've already created a storage account name, so I'm just giving it over here. And what is a container name? I just need to create a container name and then give it over here. So I'm just removing this since I've already added this. If you see here, I've just used the same step. I'm just using artifact staging directory, and then the destination is blob, and then the storage account name I'm given, and the container name and blob prefix. So where do I get all these things? I just go to Azure, okay, and I'm just creating a new web resource group called as artifacts. And under the artifacts, I'm clicking on plus, and then I just need to create a storage account. Okay, so this storage account has a blob files, tables and queues. So I'm just clicking on the storage account and then click on create. So you just need to give the resource group name and the storage account name. So this storage account name is equivalent to this one, artifact demo. So this is what I need to give it over here. And the location can be any of your location. I'm just choosing this, and then I'm keeping the rest of the things as default, and then click on review and create. So once after I create it, I'm just getting the storage account created. So this is my storage account name. Now here you can see around 4 options, which is containers, file shares, tables, and queues. In this case, I need a containers. So I'm just clicking on containers, and under containers, you can see this option called as plus container. So I'm just clicking on plus container and then giving any container name. So here I'm just giving container name as Azure Artifacts, and this name only I just need to give it over here, which is going to be my container name. And where do I get this block prefix? I just need to go and click on this containers, and under properties, when I click it, I can see this URL of this container. So this is called as block prefix. I just need to copy it, and then I just need to give it over here. Done. So the rest of the steps and all is common. I just see, if you see here, publish artifacts, so it is the artifacts of this Azure DevOps. So under artifact section, I'm saving one copy. Along with that, I'm saving another copy in my Azure container as well. So I have 2 replicas with me. I just need to queue it. So when I run it, it takes around 20 minutes. So just keep on hold. So when this project gets completed, you can see 2 copies. One is being stored on Azure DevOps and one will be stored under this container. So at present, when I go into a container, I can see it is empty. Okay, so I see none of the files and everything over here, so it is empty. So once after the job is completed, I can see the output of this zip file being stored over there. So it takes 20-25 minutes for the projects to run. So as we were looking around that container file copy, if you see, I told you this would take around 7 to 8 minutes to run. So we just had a pause on the video. Now we are continuing back. So these are all the steps that has actually been given on the steps, and I told you this publish artifact is a step that has been publishing towards Azure DevOps, and this Azure blob file copy is the one that we have set up for file copying to the containers. And if you see, total files transferred and the transferred file successfully. So this is actually using az file copy command, and it is trying to copy the files to this particular storage account and under this particular containers. So once after this file copy is completed, we can go one step back, and here we can see published over here. So this published is nothing but this drop of 20 MB is the same zip files and everything. This is stored on our Azure DevOps itself. And now when we actually go to the Azure portal, and this is the artifacts resource group, under artifacts resource group, we are going to the storage account. And here, if we go to the containers, we can see that the files are being copied over here. If you see here, the same things, which is ARM template, SRC test, and the zip file, and the same thing you can see it over here as well, ARM templates, health, zip, SRC, and test. So I'm having 2 copies over here. One is on Azure DevOps and one is on our Azure containers, so that even if one goes down, I can use another one for our safety purposes. So this is how you just need to have a step to copy your artifact. So similarly, I can have 3 steps as well. So I can even have one more step to copy to an S3 blob. I can have one more step to copy through the Dropbox or Google Drive. So this is called as your artifacts replication. So this lab will tell you how do you link between Azure DevOps and blob containers or S3 buckets, and then how do you copy the artifacts from one location to another location. So just try these labs and then let me know if you guys face any issues. Until then, thank you.